start the webinar. Take it away, Lisa.
I think I'm frozen.
Welcome everyone to the Small Businesses in America's Rescue Plan Act webinar. I am Patty Cantrell with the New Growth Community Development Corporation, and we have a very special guest, Mike McWhorter, with the Small Business Administration Office in our Kansas City district. And we want to also hear from Lisa Zimmerman, who heads up the Economic Inclusion Center at West Central Missouri Community Action Agency. She may be frozen. Let's double check. Lisa, are you there?
I'm here. Can you hear me?
We can hear you. Let's go through the slides and then move on to Michael after you.
Okay, sounds great. Well, first of all, thanks for joining us today. I know that there's a lot of webinars out there just today, even so thanks for choosing us. We've got a lot of great information if you've got a small business and you're trying to figure out how to get through this last year with COVID and quarantine and all of those things. We are fortunate that we have the SBA with us today to talk about some programs, and I think we even had an announcement last night on some changes, or maybe early this morning, to the EIDL program, so maybe Mike can give us a little insight on that. I work with West Central Missouri Community Action Agency and New Growth, CDC, and we are, as you see our logo, two organizations, one goal, zero poverty. A piece of alleviating poverty is community development, especially in our rural markets. So from that, we wrote a grant last year and were awarded the designation of being a women's business center. We're one of about 130 that have this designation nationwide. And even though we are a women's business center, we're also able to support male entrepreneurs as well, because we are in a rural market that's considered economically disadvantaged. We have several different services. We have a revolving loan fund that helps small businesses get ready to be bankable and helps with smaller dollar loans. We have an extensive credit building program because regardless of what kind of great business idea you have, unless you have a good personal credit score, it's going to be pretty rough getting that business funded right now. And then we also provide technical assistance, as I mentioned, through the Women's Business Center and through an SBA Prime grant and some contract work we're doing with the SBDC. So we would be happy to talk to you about helping out your business in any stage. The Women's Business Center is physically located in El Dorado Springs, Missouri, but we can help you in any of the 15 counties that we serve. And if you're not in one of those 15 counties, then there's still some options for us to help you, or we can connect you with one of our sister women's business centers. So that's just kind of a brief overview of what we do. If you have any questions or would like to connect with us on any of those services, our website can be found at newgrowthmo.org. Or you can contact us. We will have some phone numbers by the end of the presentation you can get a hold of us at. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Mike McWhorter, who has been with the SBA in wearing all different kinds of hats, but currently is a lead lending relations specialist, works directly with banks and small businesses, trying to get more capital out to the people that need it in the Kansas City district area, which includes, I think, 89 counties. And we are very fortunate to have Mike because of his extensive experience and knowledge on these different programs. And so we're happy to have him here with us today to share about the new programs that they have coming down the pike. Mike? Hello?
Lisa, this is Sheila. He was indicating that he couldn't unmute. I see him, and it shows his microphone is unmuted.
Okay, let's see.
I see two where it's showing his name twice, and both of them look like they're muted according to what I see.
Okay. All right, well, while we have Mike muted, let's see what we can do. We apologize for the technical difficulties.
There, now it went off that he was unmuted.
Have you got a microphone, Mike?
It looks like he's unmuted here.
Sheila, do you
Might
want
need
to
to
share
call-
just a little bit while we're waiting on Mike to get connected?
I can talk a little bit about my slides are at the end of the presentation, but you know, I wanted to kind of highlight, I know Lisa, you had.
Yes, we can hear you, Mike.
Okay. How y'all doing, guys? I'm sorry for the technical difficulty on my end. I am Michael McWhorter with the SBA Kansas City District Office. I am the lead lending relations specialist. I cover the western half of Missouri and also the eastern third of Kansas. And my primary job description is I'm the person out there that's dealing with the bankers and lenders and helping them understand the programs and stuff like that. Today, I'm really thankful that the Women Business Center here would allow us the opportunity to speak to you. And today I'm going to speak to you about a couple of programs we have out there that can help the small business owner and entrepreneur. First slide, please. Okay, the CARES Act was signed into law in March 27, 2020, and it started this process. And then the CARES Act, we started off with the Economic Injury Disaster Loan. A lot of people know that is the EIDL or EIDL loan. And that is a loan program that is by the SBA that's there to help whenever there's natural disasters or anything like that. It's there to help them. And then we had the PPP loan, which was mandated by the CARES Act, which is a Paycheck Protection Program. We refer to it sometimes as Ppp. Now, we're currently in the second round of the Ppp program, but if you did not participate in the first round, you're still eligible to apply for that. And I'm going to go over how that works and what comes up with it. Real quick on the EIDL is it's a 30-year program or term loan, and it's going to be fixed at an interest rate of 3.75 for profit businesses, and for nonprofit it'll be 2.75. There is no penalties on this. There's no fees. I think they charge you $100 for filing a UCC for you, but there's no fees or prepayment penalties or anything like that associated with the loan. This is the only loan that SBA is disaster loans. Of course, we have also for physical, but this is the only loan SBA directly lends to the small business owner or the entrepreneur. All the other programs are run through our lenders and partners. So the Paycheck Protection Program, for example, is run through the banks. Next slide, please. A little background here, a little to go over this. The PPP loan, which is getting most of the media attention, is the application process. First of all, as a small business owner or entrepreneur, you need to first find you a lender that's participating in the program. I can tell you from my Kansas City district, I've got about 650 banks who are doing or participating in PPP loans. So there literally is one close to you. I would first check with my bank that I normally bank with or you have a banking relationship with. If you don't have a local bank or somebody you bank with on a regular basis, you can always go to sba.gov and go to lender match, and we actually have a system set up in there for you to find a PPP lender close to you. So once you do that, what you're going to do is you're going to complete your application. You're going to submit it to the bank. Again, this shows you how the bank's handling the loans, not SBA. And then the bank will take your application. They'll help you. And I want to point out here too that the Women's Business Council here, if you're looking at getting a PPP loan and you're like, well, I got to go talk to a CPA, attorney, I got to go this person, that person. They offer you assistance with these applications. Guys, and there's no reason to be out paying $3,000 or $4,000 to get somebody to fill out an application. They're not complicated, but just like this meeting here today, and with Lisa and Patty and them is, you know, they're constantly kept up to date on the programs, and they're able to, you know, help you fill out the application. There might be some
Well, I do not think the computer is our friend today. Mike, we're not able to hear you.
questions.
Okay. Carolina or Sheila, can you pick up? I don't think, we're not still hearing Mike.
Yeah, he's completely disappeared. I think he's indicated that he's been kicked out. I guess until he gets logged back in, I'll just pick up where he left off at. Mike had mentioned about the PPP loan application process. As we all know, PPP applications are done through our lender friends, bankers. You can find a lender or a banker on sba.gov lender match, and you will be able to, you know, fill out the application through a banker. Once you have completed the application, you'll include all supporting documentation. There is a wait time on this from the time that it is submitted. SBA will review it, and after that, then SBA will return the application and will issue a loan number. And there is a little bit of a wait time on that. So there's no, you know, you kind of have to wait. We've got several people applying, but then SBA will issue that loan number. All right, next. This is going over the Ppp loan terms as far as the maturity. A fixed interest rate of 1% that is non-compounding and non-adjustable. You know, the SBA wants a lot of these loans, you know, to be forgiven. However, if they aren't, the PP loans will have a fixed interest rate of 1%. There's no fees or prepayment penalties. There's also a 5-year maturity for those before June 2020. It's 2 years, and the borrowers can ask their lender to extend that to 5 years. Payments start once the borrower knows how much of the PPP loan will be forgiven. The lender will notify the borrower on that. Again, guys, you will work directly with your lender that you filled out the application for the PPP. But if borrowers do not apply for forgiveness, payments will start 10 months after the last day of the covered period. Next. As I mentioned, the borrowers must apply for the PPP loan forgiveness through their lender. The lenders will then submit the lender forgiveness decisions to the SBA. If you will recall, when the economic aid came out, the idle advances are no longer being deducted from the PPP loan forgiveness payments. If you'll recall, they were taking out the idle advances, from PPP, but adjustments have been made on that, and it's no longer being deducted from PPP. Expenses that have been paid with PPP loan funds are federally tax deductible. You'll need to consult the IRS on that, all the details about getting the expenses deducted, federally tax deductible. There is also an expanded forgivable expenses that are permissible for any unforgiven PPP loan. And if you'll recall, simplified forgiveness application for PPP 150,000 and under on that. Okay, sorry guys, I'm having problems reading this. And per the CARES Act, forgiven PPP loans are not federally taxable income. Next.
And that's been kind of a big thing, hasn't it, Sheila? There was some concern that they wouldn't be able to deduct their expenses, but it sounds like they've got that all worked out.
That is absolutely right. There was great concern for that. So that's a biggie. I know, as you well know, this information has changed on a daily basis. You may say something one day and the next day it has changed, but that is a big one. You are correct, Lisa. They've also expanded the maximum amount for small businesses and nonprofit organizations that for the COVID EIDL loan. Starting the week of April 6th, they raised that loan from 150,000 up to 500,000. Now, EIDL, for those of you, I've switched gears. EIDL is the Economic Injury Disaster Loan, and that is you apply for that through sba.gov. It's a small business loan. Used with the intent for working capital, the 3.75% interest, and for nonprofit, 2.75% interest. There is a 30-year term on that, no prepayment penalty. The first payment has been deferred for 2 years after receiving the funding. Collateral is required for loans over 25,000, and the EIDL loan is not forgivable. Again, this is just a small business loan. Mike, are you back?
Yes, I am. I changed computers. Does that sound better?
It does.
I went to my personal computer instead of the government, so it. I'm sorry about that, guys. I was trying to listen to everything else. So, Sheila, thank you so much. You did a great job there. The biggest takeaway here on the EIDL, this PowerPoint part of the presentation was they changed and increased the max loan amount from 150 to 500,000. Before this, they based it on 6 months economic injury. they're now basing it on up to 24 months economic injury. Again, as was stated before, the loan is a fixed rate loan for 30 years, no prepayment penalty. The collateral right here I might highlight is if you have a loan under 25,000, there's no collateral requirement. But the collateral requirement is only a UCC filing. There's no guarantees. So you should be okay on that. And the next slide, please. Okay, Paycheck Protection Program top takeaways. I guess my slides got out a little bit out of hand there. What we're doing here is what is the takeaways from the Paycheck Protection Program? This is triple P. And I'm getting feedback, I think. Is that
We
me?
can't hear it. You sound good.
Okay. All right. So anyway, here we go. Paycheck Protection Programs, triple P. The biggest takeaways, guys, that to get a gold nugget out of this meeting with all my technical problems, I would hope that you'd get this one right here. The PPP program has simplified the applications for forgiveness for 150,000 or less. Because what we found was 86% roughly of our PPP loans submitted in 2020 were under that amount. And we want to be able to make that as an easy a transition for you as possible. So we've got the offer of the second round PPP loan, and that's going to be for businesses that were hit the hardest. And I'm sure Sheila went over the 25% reduction in the revenues for any quarter to quarter. I know that I get questions like quite a bit is that, Mike, can I go from the first quarter of 2019 versus third quarter of 2020? And the answer is no, it's got to be the same quarter in a year. And the quarter is defined by January, February, March. It's a standard counting quarter. It can't be any 3 months you want to use. But being that said, you can also go off of annual revenues. And if your annual revenues is less than 25%, then you'll be eligible for a second round PPP loan. And I think I heard as I was coming in here, she was talking about the idle advance is no longer deducted from the amount of the PPP loan. So that's the thing we stepped up on. So you got 8 to 24 weeks to use your funds. A lot of big questions out there is, well, I applied for a first loan January of this year, Mike. Can I go ahead and apply for the second one now? You cannot have overlapping covered periods. So you want to check with the lender and check with the Women's Business Council to help you sort of figure that out some. But if it takes you 10 weeks to spend your money, you have to wait till those 10 weeks have expired and you've expired the money, and then you can apply. The ruling out there, a lot of people go, well, it says you have to intend to spend the money. Now, I understand that, but that was based on the first draw period from the March 27th through August. And you could have got a loan there and be on 24 weeks. That would have been 6 month period. But you're not going to get a second round that's going to cover 2020. It's going to be 2021 is going to be the cover period. So if you got both loans this year, they can't overlap. So that's the big one that we have there. But that's the gold nugget is, guys, we've made it as simple as possible for small business owners and entrepreneurs under 150. And that's what we're going to try to maintain, is make it easy for you as possible. Next slide, please. All right. Yeah, they did get a little out of things, so I'm sorry about that, along with my other computer problems. The economic disaster loan, who should apply? Down at the bottom, it's sort of cut off on my screen. At the bottom of this slide, I always put, when in doubt, apply. On these disaster loans, if you have not taken advantage of this, you really need to, as a business owner, to apply. It's very easy. You do it online. There's no documents to upload or anything. You just give them some information. I will let you know you got to be under 500 employees. Now, the PPP second round, you got to be under 300 employees. The economic injury is the idle, you can be up to 500 employees. So your larger businesses can apply for this. The idle program allows you to spend money on paying your bills, replenish maybe some of your inventory that was lost due to the shutdown. If you're a restaurant, you can do stuff like that. You can make payments. With the PPP loan, you can only make interest payments. With the idle loan, you can make principal and interest both. You can't pay off a loan, but you can make the monthly payments. So if you're thinking about it or you haven't filled out an idle application, I'd go ahead and do it. That's the best advice you can get on that. And when you do, you just go online to sba.gov, go in there, and we got the Corona section in there. You can walk your way right through it. Again, Lisa and Patty and them are able to help you, assist you with that if you have any questions, but I highly recommend you do that if you hadn't done it. Next slide, please. How can I use the idle funds? I briefly touched on that, and the idle funds can be used for monthly utility payments, rent, payroll expenses. Now, you can't use the payroll expenses and the PP expenses at the same time, so you'd want to segregate that and keep your records straight on that. But you can do it for scheduled loan or tax payments, repairs, replace. If you had to go in, like I've noticed now when I go into the gas station, they had to put up plastic shields and they got hand dispenser stuff everywhere, stuff like that. You can use your idle funds for that, pay it. Now, and you're saying, well, Mike, I already put all that stuff up, what do you do? Well, when you get your idle loan, you can replace those funds with that. And you can use those funds for some more capital, some maybe advertising, whatever you want to do. Again, you cannot refinance long-term debt with it. You can't expand your facilities or acquire fixed assets. You can't relocate. And, you know, contractor malfeasance is not protected in it either. So you can't use the idle funds to, if I have 3 trucks working in my service industry, I can't take my idle loan for $36,000 and go buy that new Ford pickup with it. That's not allowed. But it's basically, if you want to think of it, it's a working capital loan, it is. So hopefully that makes a little more sense to you on that. Next slide, please. Okay. A lot of people have got the idle loans, and I put this in here for exactly one reason. We're getting inundated with a lot of calls about people who have received their idle funds last year. Now they're going back to the bank, maybe getting a new line of credit. Maybe they're going to expand or do something and they're looking for a loan to be able to do that. And the bank pulls your title search and it shows a UCC filing. And a UCC filing is a general filing filed with the Secretary of State. And that's to cover your assets, personal assets for the business. SBA will more than happy to subordinate, take a second lien position on some of that. And when you apply for it, all you have to do is reach out to the center at the SB, I got it right there, PDC Accounting, Collateral Review, SBA.gov. That's where you go to. And in this information right here, because a lot of people get confused, you have to provide this information if you're wanting to subordinate to the UCC filing. So you'll need your lender's name, lender's email address, you'll need the lender's loan information, like what kind of loan is it, what kind of application number, you'll want to put that in there. This right here is just a general description of what you need to do. The point I want to make on this is if you have an idle and you need to do that, you can't, your banker can help you and assist you, but you have to make the request because we did the loan to you. And I hope that in the beginning you caught the fact that the disaster loan is the only one made by SBA to the individual. And so, you know, we've changed up the loan agreement. We're not trying to take assets. We're not taking hard assets. We're not going down filing liens on your houses, your commercial property, or anything like that. We're trying to make it as smooth as possible. But I know we're getting inundated with a lot of calls about what I have to do with my lien that the SBA filed on me for my $100,000 loan they gave me. And this is how you address that. Next slide, please. Okay. Shattered venue operations.
we're going to start with that and just briefly go over it. The Shatter venue is going to be a grant program, and it's going to be run through the portal. And I believe we're going to be going live on that April the 8th on it. This slide that's up is perfect, though. If you want to leave it there, it's fine. I can talk about the rest of them. The main thing you got to do as a business, you got to get registered with your DUNS number and your SAM. So System Award Management and DUNS. Now, you have to get those done in order to apply for this. Again, the Women Business Council will be glad to help you with some of that. A lot of it's really easy. It's online. You just go there, like the DUNS is dnb.com, and you just complete the information and submit it. One thing that has changed, that's going to be in a slide somewhere, but that's really important. Prior to the new bill that got signed into law, if you had a venue that you were thinking about applying for a grant and you applied for a PPP on your second PPP and got it, then you wouldn't be eligible. They've taken that out now, and all they're going to do is deduct the amount of money you receive from your second PP, not the first, but the second PPP. They will deduct that from the grant amount they award you, because we're going to forgive that, and you can't have two grants for simultaneous same reasoning, because that's called duplication of benefits. Now, a lot of the things that's in there is they're going to be able to go in there and you're going to have 45% reduction in wages. You have to have under 50 full-time employees. There's a couple other little things in there. And the biggest thing that we can tell you for the Kansas City District Office, whether you're talking to Sheila or Carolina or Thomas or whoever, is we have to tell you to go to sba.gov/coronavirus, which is in the corner down there. But again, if you just get sba.gov and it's got a big, huge Corona thing, you just push a button on it and it's going to take you to all of the programs that we're offering or is available to you as a consumer, small business owner. But if you go in there, they've got frequently asked questions. They've got the application information you're going to need about your financials and all that. And that's the best place to go look. It doesn't matter what the Facebook people say that you're looking on social media. Go to the web page and look at it, and it's going to tell you everything. It's up to date. Can we go to the next slide? Okay, I put this in here because when I was putting this PowerPoint together, I'd had several questions asked about this. If you remember, I told you that if a portion of your PP loan was forgiven, will that affect the amount of loan that's deducted from that? And it says no. The full amount of your PP loan received on or after, that's keywords, December 27th, must be deducted from the SVOG without regard to whether the portion of the PP is forgiven or not. If you receive a loan before or prior to December 27th, then that's not even going to figure into it. It doesn't even matter. It's not a factor in the SVOG. Also, I've had several questions, and that's the reason I put this in there. And again, guys, I got this from the SBA webpage, from the shattered venues. I got that. This is all right there. But I have so many people that had asked about the wedding and event venues are eligible. It's not likely, per the Economic Aid Act, there are special eligibility requirements to apply for, but live venue operators. It appears that the wedding venue operation would likely fail to meet the multiple requirements. Sales of tickets, obviously, if you have a wedding venue, you don't send out there and sell tickets for people to come to a wedding. Promotional event to the public. Although the bride and groom may send out invitations, you're not actually marketing it. So that's just some of the examples of why a wedding venue will not be eligible. So again, I highly stress, go to that webpage. It's really great. And we can go to the next slide, please. There you go. There it is. I put it in big. I put the font up to like 36 or so. But anyway, SVO grant, is the backslash. Again, if you just get to sba.gov, you're good to go. It'll get you there. That's where you get the most information. We're rolling it out. I know it's been a little slow. Again, 17 million applications so far for PPP and IDLES. We're just inundated and we're trying to get the best we can. So I think that's the last slide, if I remember correctly. Oh, it's Lisa. Yay.
So Mike, in the past, I know last year with the EIDL, if you applied and you had so many employees, you got $1,000, I think it was, per employee that you did not have to repay. Is that still the same or has that changed?
That's called the target advance and that expired August. And there is no more funds in it. They went back. Some people got like 2 employees, Lisa, and then they got $2,000. They went back and they made that even 10,000 because that's what Congress intent was back on March 27th when they signed the CARES Act. And through their bill writing, it got figured that it was per employee, but then Congress changed it in the June bill that they passed. We have so many CARES Acts. I just call it CARE Act 2, 1, 3, 4. Anyway, they changed it. So they went back and called it target advance, and they give everybody that received an advance up to $10,000. So if you got your advance and money just came in your check when you filled out application from like March through August, then you're good to go. But currently that program is closed because all the money's been spent. So there is no more of the grant money from the EIDL side.
Okay, and next question I have for you, is credit a factor with any of these programs?
I'd like to say no, but we have to have some kind of computer thing so far. I'm gonna address the EIDL first. The EIDL has a number that the system, that you're filling it out online, the system checks your credit report when it comes in. There is a number 485, 500. I don't know the number of it, but there's a number where then they decline you. You're given the opportunity to ask for reconsideration because you can say, well, look, I just had a really bad time. You know, the pandemic caused it. The one that doesn't overcome that is like if I have a charge off from 2019 for, $500,000 and I go, well, it's because of the pandemic. No, the pandemic wasn't back then. So yes, it does have, but we're very liberal on that, and we're very lenient, and we'll take any kind of true justification for it. But the EIDL does. The PPP, it depends on the banker and stuff. Now they're not supposed to pull a credit report on the first one, but we're trying to cut down on the fraud and stuff. So we want to make sure at least the business is in your name and stuff like that. But so far we have not seen anybody really being declined other than having a government loss. They've been, they defaulted on a government loan. I'm talking about SBA or USDA that y'all are familiar with down there. You defaulted on that loan the last 7 years, or a government loss. Now, a lot of people interpret that as if, well, I had a charge off, but it was 10 years ago. So it's outside the 7 years. The 7 years is for a default. The default is you're late on your payments. The write-off or charge-off is covered under a loss to the government. We did correct the student loans, and if some of you applied and was declined because of the student loan debt that was either in default or charge-off, they now have taken that out and waived that. So that's the only one. But any kind of loss on a government loan or anything like that, then yes, your credit would be a determining factor in that. So that's how that looks on that part.
And I think I hear you saying too, Mike, that they can apply, if you applied for EIDL before, you applied for PPP before, you can still apply again. You can apply for multiple of these. So don't think just because you applied for one and got a certain amount, that's all I can get, I'm done.
Good, very good point. When we first rolled this program out in March, the first rounds of PPP, we were pretty much rubber stamping, if you remember, Lisa, and we just approving them. And a lot of people come back and go, well, I got my first PPP loan, but I've been declined because of my second. And there's a whole litany of reasons maybe why they're declined the second time, because we didn't do a check. We didn't check the background. We didn't do a SAM report. We didn't do a Cavers, or we didn't look at Dun and Bradstreet. And now we're finding out, they do have a government loss, or they have a felony record, a criminal record, and we can't do that. And so then they're declining. They're going, well, but the thing I'd say is if you were declined because of student loan is the only big change in that. If you were declined because of student loan, the first round of PPP, you can definitely apply again. The idle, they do a little checking on those. So if you got declined, and let's say your credit score was, say I had a 460, I did, I had really bad credit and I was working to clean it up, and I got declined in April. When you get the decline letter, it gives you 6 months to ask for reconsideration. Outside of that 6 months window, Lisa, you need to reapply again. They won't take a reconsideration. So yes, so if they've been declined, it's been over 6 months, I would look at it. And also remember too, that's very important. The bank is lending their money until the time that you get forgiven when we pay the bank back. So if you got a bank that not warm and fuzzy about doing a loan for you, you can always go to another banker and see if they're wanting to do it. But they're supposed to, even if they decline it, they're supposed to give SBA an opportunity to concur with their decline for whatever reason it is. But, sometimes it's best, the banker maybe don't want to work with you. I don't know. Move on down the street.
Hey, Mike, there's a good question in the chat about the $1,000 grant that they didn't qualify for the 10,000 if they don't qualify because of the area that they're in. Can you touch about that?
Yes. When we did the target advance, because it was limited on funds, some of the people received the full amount, some didn't. And it is based on the fact of the opportunity zones or HUD zones that we have at SBA. And that's really just depressed areas that we felt like we need to concentrate on. And so, if your business is down there retailing in the plaza, and you're probably not going to get the additional money to the 10,000. So it was based on areas that have been underserved, areas that had, been underutilized in marketing and stuff. And we tried to help those people first. Now, if they pass another bill for another $1 trillion and put some in, they may start passing it out. But thanks for bringing that up. Whoever wrote the question, great question. I forgot about when I was explaining about 10,000. It was targeted.
And can I jump in?
Yeah.
I think the key takeaway, though, is that SBA, they will send an email to those particular businesses. I mean, they've got several priority groups. And I think for folks, the takeaway is don't be alarmed if you see an email. It has to be an official government email that ends, sba.gov in regards to the targeted idle.
Good point. Good point. We get that question a lot. And I'm sure, I think Lisa had a couple people asking her about, is this official government or is this legit? And guys, if it comes from Hotmail or Gmail or Joe Billy Bob's email, .com, we're not .com. Nothing we'll send you will be coming from a .com or anything like that, or .net. It's .gov. It's not .org. It's not anything like it. It's .gov. And they can't, I want to say they can't. I realize that I'm not a technical person, all that. And I know that we've had people break into our systems and steal information. Everybody's seen it in the news, stuff like that. I'm 100% confident they can't break in, take our email address server and send out emails and recover. So if you get one, and the one I always do is, send it, or ask Lisa and them, Patty, you can send it to Sheila, to Carolina, who spoke just a minute ago, myself. Hey, is this legit? I'm not sure. And we'll be glad to look them up in the system, or sometimes I even just a simple phone call to them and make sure they sent the email. But if it's got a .gov on it, SBA.gov or something like that, you're good to go.
Yeah, and on that question, I just want to add, just because that was a grant, that doesn't mean you cannot apply for the idle or even increase your idle or apply for the PPP round 1 or round 2. That again, it was a grant that was given last year, trying to get those applications out the way.
Mm-hmm.
So I do definitely encourage you to apply for the EIDL or the PPP loan.
Yeah.
Sorry, I guess I'm showing as Lisa, but this is Carolina Vargas.
That's like, I got several Lisas here. I'm surrounded.
I will say we were discussing the credit issue earlier. If your credit score is, lower than what Mike was talking about, or even if it's below a 650, 680, and you would like some help with that, having a poor credit score now doesn't mean you have to have a poor credit score forever. Definitely call us. We would love to work with you. And that's a free service. We can help you learn how to move your credit score in a healthy way. We're not going to dispute every item on your credit report because bankers are smart. They can see that you've disputed every item on your credit report and what's the reality of every single item not being yours. We can teach you some healthy ways. Typically can move a credit score about 100 points to the good within 6 months with a credit action plan. So if that is something you're struggling with, definitely do give us a call on that.
I will vouch for you on that too, Lisa. You're right. I've seen so many my career guys listening. I've worked disaster loans. I've worked the 7A processing center, the liquidation, and Lisa's 100% right, guys. It's legit. Since we were talking about that, it is legit, and there is a way to build your credit score without all this. I call it smoke and mirrors, sending letters, and if it catches 30 days here, it'll drop, but then it'll be right back. That you can do that. I understand that, but if you want to legitimately increase your credit score and get it up, contact Lisa and them, because that's the way you need to do it. That's the proper way to do it.
Mike, you did have another question. Didn't they also extend the timeline for when repayment of the EIDL starts for those that receive EIDLs last year?
Yes, they extended another 6 months. People are applying, or 2 years. It'll be 2 years now for people who applied last year. It'll be 18 months for people applying now. Still works out to about 24 months. The thing that's nice about the EIDL and being from disaster and all that, the really nice thing about that is, if you do get in a bind, and I want to make this clear, perfectly clear for everybody, you get in a bind financially, business, the COVID comes back, blah, blah, blah. That information they send you when you got the loan, you won't keep that handy, because SBA will do anything physically possible to help you overcome any kind of setbacks you have. They'll give you a longer deferment. They'll let you pay interest only. They'll spread the payments out. We do everything we can, because when we give you a loan, and the reason we're doing EIDLs real quick, the reason we're doing EIDLs is before March 27th and the CARES Act passed through Congress, President then came out and declared a national disaster like they did on 9/11. For some of you older folks, when they declared national disaster, Bush declared that, the whole country got disaster loans. Well, he had done that, and that's what engaged SBA disaster EIDLs to start, was way before the CARES Act was ever passed. Because when the presidential declaration, and some of you are familiar down there, I actually worked the Joplin tornado and helped people down there. Whenever you get a presidential, we come in with FEMA and everything else. And this was like 9/11 because the country was affected, but it wasn't no physical damage. Because if you lived in Springfield on September the 12th, after 9/11, you didn't have damage, but your business probably shut down because the airports are closed. There's nothing, no packages are going anywhere, blah, blah, blah. So that's how it got started. And that's why we're in there. But we will work with you any way we can to help you get through that. And so if you get behind or you get a little financial strap, don't wait till the last minute. Go ahead and be proactive and let them know. And they'll defer it. We're fine. We're happy. We're just here to help you get back on your feet. We're not trying to penalize you.
Great. Does anybody else have any questions for Mike or for Sheila? Or Carolina's on the call too, so we've got lots of experts here.
While they're waiting, they're typing it up. Did Carolina get the chance to explain what she's helping y'all with in the 8A contracting thing, or did she go over that?
No, she did not. Carolina, do you want to talk about that?
Sure, I can do that. So I'm guess not Lisa here, but Carolina. I deal with the 8A contracting, and for those of you that have already been in business for more than 2 years, or you are there are a lot of tribes that this gets overseen, the 2-year rule. But if you've been in business more than 2 years and you're doing contracting, you can do government contracting, federal, or even just governmental within your area, helping the community to grow. The 8A program, it is a great opportunity for you to start bidding on contracts. It is a 9-year program that you will go in, but this all starts with the SBDC and the PTAC, the Procurement Technical Assistance Program. They're all part of the Small Business Development Centers at the university. We have plenty of them around this. In Pittsburgh, we have one in Springfield, we have some here in Kansas City. So if you need some assistance with that, you can always either reach them first, or you can reach me, and I'll be happy to walk you through the process on how to do the application. It is a little paperwork intense, but it's a 9-year program that is going to help your business grow and start doing business with the federal government. Being in the military before, I can tell you that the government does contracts for anything that you can think of, from toilet paper to pens, pencils, anything that you can think of. So it's something to think about. I know I did a opening with Lisa down in Pittsburgh, where just a chiropractor, I was telling her, I said, well, you can definitely do a contract with the federal government, with the VA, because as veterans, they are outsourcing those contracts to them, to small businesses, local small businesses within the area, because obviously the VA are facilities that are very big, the hospitals, and might be too far away for you, for the veterans. So those are opportunities that you as a small business can take on. So if you need any questions, I will put my information on the chat. I'll be happy to talk to you.
I real quick, Carolina, that there was one comment down here about how the county doesn't have qualify for 8A, the communities. And yeah, Carolina, there's your information. You don't have to be in a HUD zone to be 8A contracting, do you? I don't know much about it, but do you have
No,
to
so there's different certifications. So you have the 8A certification. You also have women's business certification, and then the 8A on the HUD zone. So you can have all the certifications all together. You could be woman, minority. You have to be a minority business. I mean, in a minority in order for you to qualify.
Okay.
But if it's in a hub zone, then most definitely, or you're participating in a industry that is men lead, as a woman, you can definitely apply for that and kind of fight your way through it. But again, that all starts with the PTAC office at the SBDC, or you can call me and I'll be happy to assist.
And I think even Lisa can help out a little bit occasionally.
Yes, of course. Lisa can definitely guide you through that.
Carolina, you mentioned you have to be a minority, but minority can be woman-owned, that can be economically disadvantaged, all of those things, right?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Well, Sheila, did you have anything else you wanted to add?
The one, I'm not certain if Mike covered this on the SBA backed loan debt relief for those that, are currently have 7A or 504 loans. Borrowers, they don't need to apply for the debt relief. The SBA, it's all done automatically. They would have received a letter in the mail. But that's something that, perhaps folks, they may want to contact their lender with any, additional debt relief questions. I mean, that's a biggie.
Yeah, up to 6 months of forgiveness. That's a nice program.
Yes, it is.
And that leads me into something, Lisa. You know, the SBA right now on our 7A and 504 have some tremendous opportunities for small businesses wanting to expand. Maybe start, somebody figured out something they can do during this COVID that nobody else thought of, and they want to start a business. Your 6-month payments that Sheila was talking about also applies to newly approved loans. We have 90% guarantees across the board on our program for 7A. And then on our 7A Express, it went to 75. Now, as far as you being a business owner, that doesn't mean anything to you. What Lisa can address when she talks to you about it, and I can, is the fact that the bank is who we're like FHA. If you buy a house, you put 3% down, FHA insures the house. So if you default, they pay the lender some money. The SBA is the same way with a business loan. If you apply for the loan and you default and they foreclose on you, SBA will pay the lender back some money. It doesn't relieve you of your responsibility, but it makes it where the lender is more, what's the word I'm looking for there, Lisa? It's more palatable for them to lend money in a little more riskier environment because they have the government, full force of the government insuring the loan. So right now is not a bad time to start a business. And we also, I think, Lisa, we waived the fees, and I think the 504 is offering like ridiculous 2% money.
We have a question here too that
No.
said, I thought the loans were for 3 months if the loans were completed by September. I think if that's in the regards to the forgiveness, it is there's 6 months of payment, but the second round is different, isn't it, Mike?
Yeah, the 504s in Marcia asked about that. And yes, Marcia, you're correct. I was generalizing when I said you get 6 months, but you get free payments after you're approved. But that's the 504 program. That 7A, I believe, is still doing the 5 month or 6 month. It depends on your loan amount and stuff like that. It's still a great time to take advantage of the market and take advantage of the low interest rates. But a loan that you know, you may have talked to a lender back in 2019, they didn't like your idea as much, and now with a 90% guarantee on that loan, they're probably a little bit more apt to sit there and really talk to you and be a player and want to loan you the money, because now they're mitigating their risk to your loan that may have not have been quite in their sandbox by 90%. So if they loan you $100,000, the most they're going to lose is $10,000. Now I understand they don't want to lose anything. I got that, but they may be willing to take that $10,000 risk to develop a you know, consumer or customer based relationship with your business to be able to help you. And obviously a bank wants you to set up your accounts there. They want to take care of everything. That's how they make their money. So it'd be a great time to look at it.
And again, also, we're happy to help you. If you want to bring your paperwork to us prior to going to a bank, we'll look at it with you. And then if there's any red flag areas, we can work on those before you're sitting in front of a lender. I think there's a couple folks from the SBDC on this call as well. They're able to do the same thing. Just give us a call. Those are free services. We can help you be ready for the bank. Because it's a lot easier to go in and get a yes the first time if someone else has kind of previewed your packet to see what areas might be a problem. So we're happy to help you with that.
I think when you worked at the SBA, you used to put all those things, building a better borrower, which were perfect. That was good. I would say that in those meetings when I was there, the biggest gold nugget on that is, don't ever walk into a banker and when you sit down to talk to them about your business plan and all that, and they go, how much money do you want? You don't respond back with how much can I get? You want to have a set perimeter of what you're doing and how you're doing it. Be like Lisa said, let them look at it, have all your I's dotted, T's crossed. It doesn't hurt to have a second pair of eyes look at stuff.
Yeah. All right. I'm looking, I'm not seeing any other questions in the chat box. If anybody has a question, go ahead, put that in now. And I'm going to put Debbie Naselroad on the spot. She's our Women's Business Center Director. We do have another webinar coming up next week, I think. So Debbie, do you want to mention just a little bit about that?
Sure. The Women's Business Center is ready to, well, we're getting ready to start seeing clients to assist with helping to start businesses or to expand businesses that are currently currently going. Sorry, she's put me on the spot, so I'm a little nervous, but I'm really excited for this position. And I know that there's a lot of untapped resources out there with people who have great ideas for businesses or who want to expand that we would really love to work with you and see what we can do to help you get going and growing.
I think that was a great job, Debbie. That was wonderful. You're not as nervous as I am.
There's one more question for you, Mike.
Yes.
This comes from Robert Fulmer. He says, I have an idol and I'm applying for the SBOG. Could I get an email for? What was the email or the website for the SBOG?
Oh,
Either
the
you or
SBOG
Sheila
is,
type it in.
yeah, it's sba.gov/SBOG. I'm at a different computer. If they go to sba.gov, and it was in that PowerPoint presentation. By the way, Lisa and Debbie, I believe I sent y'all the PDF form. Please feel free to forward that or send that or share it or put it on my Facebook, whatever. You're free to do that. That's the reason I put it into a PDF for you. Carolina, that's the sba.gov, and they can go over there and it has all the forms and all the financial requirements and stuff like that. And as I showed in the PowerPoint presentation a little bit, I know Sheila covered some of it, that program is going to be so massive that for us to sit and talk about each individual entity that has venues, we'd be here for a couple of weeks doing it. But that's the best source, and I'm not laying it off because we can't answer a question. We'll be glad to address any question we can. But you as an individual, and if you come there and see Debbie or Patty or Lisa or any of the team down there, they got the same access to the same stuff, and they can sit there and give you what they've been trained on and what they've learned about from us and through our many partners. As Lisa said, the SBDC's on today. We have those. We have a SCORE partner. Then we have some stakeholders, I call them, like KC SourceLink or Missouri SourceLink or economic development from the state of Missouri. There's all kinds of partners we're tied in with. But the thing about SBA is we try to hub everything and help everybody out on our web page. But yeah, you definitely just go in there and look at it.
That website is sba.gov/SVO grant. And that will get you right to the Shuttered Venue Operators Grant, the portal there. And I did send a kind of an application checklist to Patty and Lisa, but they are the folks that have all the answers to the app if you have a question about the Shuttered Venue and applying.
Good, very good, excellent point, Sheila. That, by the way, anybody on this call right now, you're looking at more than 60% of our staff right here. I mean, we're it. And because we have a director like Debbie, and has to take care of the running of the district office and make sure all the counting's done right. But as far as people out in the field, you're looking at the 3 people that are out there. It's hard for us. And like I said earlier, 17 million applications, guys, that we couldn't do it without our partners. And I've leaned more on our partners this year. And this is my first opportunity to work with Debbie and Patty and them and in their new Women's Business Center. And I'm really excited about that because I thought for years that I've only been here 3 years, but I thought for years that we needed more Women's Business Center, and especially down there in Southern Missouri and stuff like that, especially after we seen the turnout we had with that E3 conference. And I was just really amazed, and I'm really glad to see y'all come on board, and glad to have you aboard. Hopefully we get to start traveling pretty soon, and we'll drive down and sit around and talk a little bit. But guys, they're the ones that's going to be, you know, the spear on the point on all that is our partners, and they're going to be the ones helping us, because in Kansas City especially, we're just too understaffed, but that's across the nation too, because we had people working here that they took and put them on PPP or idle, or, you know, we're trying to cover all the bases. So that's the best way to say it. But yeah, Sheila, you're absolutely right.
Well, thanks everyone for your time today. We know you guys are busy, and we appreciate you, Mike, Sheila, Carolina, everybody being on this call today. And if anyone has questions, reach out. We put information on how to get to us in the chat box. We will be doing webinars on a pretty regular basis, because we're still trying to not gather in large groups, but give us a call if there's something that you want to see us cover, or more information that you want on a certain topic. And thanks again, everyone, for joining us.
Thank
Bye,
you.
everyone. Thanks.
Thank you.